Government has been lying to us for at least 79 years.
This is literally insane that Dr. Phil is coming out with UFO disclosure right now. I am obsessed with this shit. Like, what are the odds of this? First, we get Jillian Michaels from Biggest Loser. Now we have Dr. Phil. It is the randomest characters that are coming out with UFO disclosure stuff. I'm just like so enthralled and just so entertained by this right now. It's so interesting. But I just love this because he said 79 years, and that's exactly what was in the Disclosure Day movies. They said 79 years exactly. And my channels, were what they told me was between 75 and 100 years. They've been in closed contact with our government. Which is what is being exposed right now through the UFO files, is that our government has been in contact with aliens, and and they have footage and all this stuff, right? And that's why I talk about open contact, because open contact is just going to be them contacting the rest of us. They've already been contacting our government for over, 75 years. And the reason why they had to contact our government was to give them advanced technology. And what that advanced technology did was it allowed us to have TVs, phones, computers, all of this stuff. And what they did with that was they revealed the truths of the idea of aliens existing and other dimensions existing and all that stuff. And they did that through movies and TV shows and music and those types of things, and whistleblowers and all that stuff. And crash sites and all of this stuff, the Roswell, the abduction stories, they did it through the news as well. And they did this because that's how long it takes our brains, our bodies, our nervous systems to adjust to the idea of aliens existing. And so they prepared us for this time so our brains, our bodies, our nervous systems would not collapse when open contact occurs. They've been preparing us for 75 to 100 years for open contact. That's what they've been doing. And the only way they could get the truth out was through media, right through, because our government has been trying to prevent this from happening. They've been trying. That's why they lied to us about being in contact with the aliens, because they didn't want us to know, because then they'll be out of power. Because the thing about aliens existing and other realms and other dimensions existing is that also takes down religion. It takes down a lot of systems of oppression all in one fell swoop, is the idea of aliens existing, because we're told again in the Bible and the Christian religion that aliens don't exist and that it's only here on earth and we're supreme beings and, God created us and nothing else is outside of us, right? And then again, we don't really have a lot of evidence and proof of that. We don't have ships flying around all the time, and we don't talk to aliens and stuff like that on a mass scale. On closed scales we do, which again whistleblowers have come out and exposed this and all this stuff. And that was strategic because our brains and our bodies and our nervous systems require a certain way to condition us into the idea of things outside of the reality in which we are conditioned into. And the purpose of them coming down here and doing open contact is to get us to evolve as a human species, because our evolution has been stunted. It's been manipulated, it's been coerced. By delete people, by also a satanic, shadow government, unfortunately. And that was by design. And that's where my channels come in. God designs this planet a certain way for us to experience soul growth and disconnection from him. There were a couple things that were lied to. There's a couple things that have been, there's a lot of things that have been manipulated, as we can tell. That's the whole point of this coming out. All this truth coming out is to show that we have been manipulated and lied to. And so then the question is why? So they can stay in power, so they can actually enslave us, and so they can stunt our evolution. And so then the question becomes, why would God allow this? Because we know in the Christian religion, the Bible, it tells us that God creates everything and God knows everything. So why would God allow this? Why would God allow all these people to manipulate and coerce us and stunt us and harm us and all these things? Well, that is for soul growth and it's for disconnection from God. And we only get this during descension periods. So that's the other thing that the Bible told the truth about. They told us about ascension, right, with Jesus, and descension. He descended into hell. He fought Satan, and then he rose again, and he went to heaven. Well, that's actually a planetary process. It's not something that one person went through. It's actually what all humans experience when they come down onto the planet during a descension period. We're actually in a very special period right now where we're going through the last parts of descension, and now we're going to ascend, and that's what open contact is going to be ushering in. It's going to be ushering in the age of Aquarius, or whatever age we're going into here. It's also going to be ushering us into ascension, which again is just a natural part of Mother Gaia, the planet's contract, soul contract, right? So we have soul contracts. We sign soul contracts. We come down here. We agree to descend in hell, and then we agree to also ascend into heaven. And the planet also agrees to this. And it's every 26,000 years, I've been told, that the planet switches over into an ascension period. So we go 13,000 years into a descension period, and then the next 13,000 years we ascend, and then we do it again, and it's a wavy kind of process. And I'm told it differs throughout different dimensions. Ascension and descension looks different throughout each dimension. The dimension that we happen to be in right now is we are physically going through the collapse and then the rebuild. It's a physical experience of that. And so God allows this because he wants that's where it gets complicated, because it's for soul growth. The only way that you can experience a soul growing is through experience the contrast of what we are outside of here. And what we are outside of here is we are God. They got heaven and hell mixed up too. That's not right. Heaven and hell, heaven is the only thing that exists outside of here. But hell only exists on a planet. And so they told us that hell is a completely separate dimension that you go to if you sin here. No, it's actually what you experience if you sin here. Hell is what you experience if you sin here. Or that we're subjugated to. A lot of us are experiencing hell because we have to be around people who are sinning and manipulating, coerces us all into sin, right? And I'm just using biblical terms here because that's the easiest way I can describe it, but there's a whole thing to it. And so we experience the disconnection from God because that's how your soul grows and learns, is through pain, is through trauma, is through that disconnection from God. And I've talked about how the starseeds here, we experience a lot of this darkness, and we go through this dissension, and then we still find God, because that's the whole point of coming down to earth, is not only experiencing the disconnection from God, but it's also experience this specific dissension, ascension period, is to experience, like, can you find your way back to God even within the dissension period, even through hell? And only ascended masters and starseeds can do this. And that's who we are. That's like what, people like me who get channels and shit, like that's what we do. And that's what Jesus was. He came to help people transition from hell to heaven. He was just like a transitioner. And that's, again, what the Bible got all fucked up, that he was like the special guy who came and saved people. But no, he just came here to warn people and help people. And that's what all of us with our Christ codes are here to do. We're here to teach people, how we got through hell and we found God again. How we found our God source energy, how we found love and light, how we found compassion and understanding, how we did find all these Jesus things, because Jesus talks about all the stuff that we're supposed to find again through hell. We're supposed to find our compassion. We're supposed to find our empathy. We're supposed to find our understanding. We're also supposed to find our anger and find our human emotions and find, being a human through this experience, and that's something that I'm really landing in lately, that I've had to decondition from the spiritual community. So that's a whole thing too. So it's very complicated, which again is why we need open contact. We need the aliens to come help us. And they're not actually aliens. They're just interdimensional beings from the 7th dimension coming down to help us, which is why they left the number 7 in the Bible. And so they left all these seeded transmissions. The Bible was a seeded transmission as well, to help us prepare for this time. Which is why so many Christians believe that the rapture is going to happen, because they actually haven't, their soul knows what's happening, but their minds are interpreting through the distortion. So it's a lot, guys. It's so exciting, though. So I just love to see this, because I get to, explain all this stuff that I get when I see stuff like this. I'm like, wait, I have answers to this. I have answers, and you don't have to freak out. You don't have to lose God. You don't have to lose Jesus. You don't have to lose your religion. But we do just have to adjust how we view it and actually the truth of that. And so that's what's going to be being exposed, is all the truths, which is so unfun. But it's going to be fun because now we get to evolve and we get to get out of this shit. And so that's it, guys. That's the name of the game.